In a defeat for the administration, Trump was forced to return a Guatemalan man to the United States after a judge determined that he was wrongly deported without due process. The man, who has gone by O.C.G. in court proceedings, obviously to protect his identity, landed in the United States early on Thursday morning and made contact with lawyers representing him after he, of course, landed, said Trina Relmuto, one of his attorneys and the executive director of the National Immigration Litigation Alliance. This is a win, a big victory for rule of law and for due process. Awesome. Now, it is also a loss for Donald Trump and the taxpayers who, of course, had to foot the bill for these unnecessary flights out of the country and then back, as well as for the court's proceedings. So much for government efficiency, everyone. Now, last month, the Trump administration claimed in court filings that it was working to secure a charter flight to return him after U.S. District Judge Brian Murphy of Boston said he has to be returned, since the Trump administration violated the law and his rights. Realmuto said that she expects the man to be taken into government custody for his own protection from persecution via due process proceedings. That said, she said he is nervous, scared, but thankful to be back in the United States. So now the question, of course, is why is he thankful to be back into a country that tried to get him essentially killed by returning him to a place where he was obviously in danger? Well, again, not only did he begin to build a life here since coming to the country in 2024, but because he is gay, openly gay, and was violently assaulted when living in Guatemala and also sexually assaulted while in Mexico. So he came here claiming asylum to, of course, escape that. That's what a lot of people do. Now, an immigration judge found back in February that O.C.G. would face serious harm if he was sent back to Guatemala and ordered a withholding of removal that barred deportation back to his home country. And so, of course, the Trump administration tried to do a little bit of an end run on that one by sending him to Mexico. That's right. 2 days after the immigration judge's February decision, O.C.G. said he was placed on a bus and removed without any due process to Mexico, where his attorney said he was previously held for ransom and raped during his second attempt to get into the United States. That second attempt, of course, he surrendered himself at the border to Border Patrol to then claim asylum, which is how you claim asylum. Okay, so that everything he did was above board. Now, he submitted evidence at his immigration hearing of his experiences in Mexico, and as a result, the immigration judge said that O.C.G. could not be removed to a country other than Guatemala without additional due process. After O.C.G. was sent to Mexico by the United States, Mexican authorities then sent him to Guatemala, where he had to remain in hiding until his return, according to court documents. Yeah, he was basically just hiding in his home. Other people, members of his family, were out, basically out there like getting groceries and supplies for him because he couldn't leave. He was essentially a prisoner in his own home for fear of being attacked, possibly even killed. Okay. Now, the immigration judge told O.C.G., consistent with the court's understanding of the law, that he could not be removed to a country other than his native Guatemala, at least not without some additional steps. In the process, Murphy wrote in an order requiring his return. Those necessary steps and O.C.G.'s pleas for help were ignored. Well, yeah, of course. Of course they were. Not only is he brown, but he's LGBTQ, and this administration has shown that they hate both. In fact, the DOJ was actually caught lying about statements O.C.G. allegedly made. The Trump administration had submitted a declaration under oath claiming that the man told government officials that he had no fear of being sent to Mexico. Rather strange, considering he was held for ransom and raped in Mexico, but okay. And of course, the Justice Department admitted later on that there was no witness that could verify this, the government accounts of O.C.G.'s removal under oath, and that the declaration was made in error. Oh, was it? No, they lied and they got caught. Not only that, but O.C.G. had previously submitted a declaration to the court stating that he was told at the last minute before his removal that he was being sent to Mexico and was denied a request to speak to his attorneys beforehand, which is a violation of his due process. The only evidence before the court, therefore, is O.C.G.'s uncontroverted assertion that he was given no notice of his transfer to Mexico and no opportunity to explain why it would be dangerous to send him there, Murphy wrote in his order mandating the man's return. Defendants' retraction of their prior sworn statement makes inexorable the already strong conclusion that O.C.G. is likely to succeed in showing that his removal lacked any semblance of due process. And there it is. This administration was busted, red-handed, lying about a sworn statement, and then claiming that they made it in error. Yeah, sure, okay. And with violating his due process rights. So at the end of the day, it makes sense they had to bring him back. I mean, look, when it comes down to it, this is a complete and utter debacle that should have never have happened in the first place. Never should have happened. But yet, I'm declaring victory here in this one because this administration was actually forced to follow their own laws. And now O.C.G. is back and finally in a safer place. Not 100% safe, of course, because the U.S. under this administration is still pretty dangerous for someone who is a minority and who is LGBTQ, but still a win is a win. All right, and I'll take it. Now, this isn't the only win, by the way. In the case of the 4-year-old Mexican girl who came here for medical treatment that I reported on, I believe it was sometime last week, she's allowed to stay too, which is good. I love it. DHS was forced to grant the girl and her mother humanitarian parole for a year so she can continue to receive the treatment that she has been getting since arriving at the border in 2023. It's according to a copy of a letter received by Rebecca Brown, an attorney for the family, from the nonprofit Public Counsel. Her lawyers had successfully argued that she will die without that treatment. And of course, that's also her doctor that said the same thing. That treatment is not available in Mexico. Lawyers argued that the girl's medical treatment, which requires 14 hours a day of intravenous nutrition, will not be necessary indefinitely, but that right now she is currently at the point where she could not live without, or that, you know, she's not at the point where she could live without it. Okay. And so thankfully she is able to stay to get the treatment that she needs and actually have the hope of growing up and living a good life, which is great. That's what we should be in favor of. That's what I want for everyone. So there you go. Not only did Donald Trump lose on these issues, but also it highlights the fact that the people that he's been trying to deport illegally are not dangerous. They're here for legitimate reasons, often to save their lives. It's a life and death thing. They're not criminals. They're not rapists. They're children or people that are fleeing bigotry and violence. And not only that, it completely undercuts the administration's claims on immigrants, but it also highlights the cruelty of the Trump administration, which not only tried to deport them, but had smeared them too. So, look, I hope at some point we bring back all the innocent people that have been unfairly, unduly abducted by ICE and sent off to places like El Salvador or Sudan. And I hope that we bring them back and that they all get together and sue the living shit out of Donald Trump. Okay? Take him for everything he's got. All right? Along with Stephen Miller, Tom Homan, Kristi Noem, Ice Barbie herself, and the rest of these ghouls. Okay? For everything they have. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon is patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.